Today we're going to be starting to talk about solving equations. And we're going to start with one-step equations where there's only one step to solve. Now we're going to focus on a couple different things. When we're ever solving equations, this is key. Whenever you're solving anything, always look to undo what is being done. Now what do I mean by that? How do you undo addition? We subtract. How do you undo subtraction? We add. How do you undo multiplication? We divide. How do you undo division? We multiply. So we're always looking to do the inverse operation to what's being done to that area, to that variable. Now, two of the things that we're always going to be looking to do is one, add opposites. Remember, opposites are the number except with the number that's there being added or subtracted, but the opposite sign. We're going to add to both sides. The second thing we're going to be looking to do is either divide or multiply by the reciprocal. Again, reciprocal, remember, is a number in which you flip the original fraction in order to get a product that is always 1. Our ultimate goal is to get the variable by itself. An x equals this, a y equals this, the letter h equals this. Let's get it all by yourself. Now the problems that we do, they're going to be might be simple for some of you to solve, and you're going to want to do everything in your head, but you're going to be required to show your work on either by adding your opposites or multiplying or dividing. So as we look at our first problem, we have x plus 7 equals 15. Now the first thing we want to do is identify where our variable is. And our variable is on the left-hand side of the equation. What a lot of people do is they will put a line right down the middle of the equal sign. Because whatever we do on one side of the equal sign, we have to do on the other side to keep things balanced. Think about a teeter-totter. If you had one person of 60 pounds on one side and another person of 60 pounds on the other side, it will stay balanced. If you put a kid that's 90 and a kid that's 60, all of a sudden, that kid could be flying up, and the one that's 90 could be slamming their behind on the ground. And I'm sure we've all been there. So whatever we do on this side, we have to do on this side as well. And as I look at this, I see x plus 7 equals 15. Because this is being added, what is the opposite of plus 7? It is a negative 7 to both sides. Now when we take, and now we're going to add down. And it's important that you put the numbers under the right numbers, and in the future the variables under the right variables, so you don't make mistakes. When we add opposites, this equals 0. This 7 minus 7 gets eliminated. The only thing that is left now is the x. We have our x all by itself. 15 and negative 7 is a positive 8. So we added our opposite to get the final answer. Number 2. We have x minus 6 equals 5. Now, as I've said over the past couple weeks, change your subtraction to adding the opposite, plus a negative 6. Now when we see this, we ask ourselves, what is the opposite of a negative 6? It is a positive 6, and we add 6 to both sides. Here's our line down the middle. We had x by itself, and 5 plus 6 is 11. I'm going to leave number 3 up to you to complete. So for when you turn this in, make sure you complete number 3. Number 4. If you look at number 4, it is a little bit different. If you notice, the variable is on the other side. We have 16 equals g minus 10. It doesn't matter which side the variable is on as long as it's on one side by itself. I start by adding the opposite, making that plus a negative 10. In order to solve this, I'm going to add 10 to both sides. And 16 plus 10 is 26. And we're left with G. And there's our final answer. So when things are being added or subtracted, we're looking to add opposites. Now number 5 is a little different. Number 5, we have 5y equals 30. There's my line down the middle of the equal sign. This time, what is the 5 doing to the y? It's multiplying. How do we undo multiplication? We divide by that. Divide by 5 here, and divide by 5 on the right. Now 5 over 5, these cancel to just a 1y. 30 divided by 5 is 6. And we get that answer there. We can go back and check it. 5 times 6, does that equal 30? Yes, it does. So we can check our answer. And you might be able to do that in your head to think about 5 times what number is 30. But again, I need you to show your work. Number 6. Negative 4x equals 28. Now think about this. What is the number multiplying the x value? You want to make sure it's the exact number. In this case, it's a negative 4. So we need to divide by negative 4. And in this case, we get x equals negative 7. Those negatives come in to haunt us, so we have to make sure we account for them. I'm going to let you do number 7 on your own. Number 8. Negative 8x equals 4. And when we're solving this problem, we want to divide by the number multiplying the x, which in this case is a negative 8. Now, before you jump to conclusions, sometimes instead of thinking about dividing, think about reducing. What number goes into both 4 and 8, and how many times does it go in? I know that 4 goes into both 4 and 8, so I want to divide both top and bottom by 4. And in this case, we get a negative, so positive divided by a negative is negative. And I get negative 1 over 2. It is not negative 2. Do not jump to conclusions on that. Number 9. Now we have something being divided. We have x divided by 3 equals negative 4. Now, what is the 3 doing to the x? It is dividing. So the inverse of dividing, we multiply both sides by 3. In this case, there's a 3 on top here, and the 3 on the bottom cancels out, just like when we're dividing. So we're left with x. Negative 4 times 3 is negative 12. Number 10. X over 5 equals 10. Again, we have division. We identify which side the variable it's on. It's on the left. And we're dividing by 5, which means we want to multiply by 5. The 5's here cancel. And I'm left with x equals 50. 10 times 5 is 50. I'm going to leave number 11 up to you to complete. Now I jump to numbers 12 and 13. Two-thirds x equals 8. Now, this is a little bit different. We have a fraction here. And I'm going to ask you to do something a little bit different than what we've been doing here. I still want to get x by itself. In this case, we could, just like before, divide by 2/3. But if you think back to pre-algebra, dividing by a number is the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. So the reciprocal of 2/3 is 3/2. Now remember, whatever you do to the left, we have to do to the right. Now the 3's cancel, the 2's cancel. I am just left with x. Now when you have a number, a whole number without something under it, if it helps, change it to 8/1. Now what can we reduce, if anything? I know that 2 goes into 8, so the 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 8 divided by 2 is 4. Now 4 times 3 is 12, 1 times 1 is 1, so our final answer is 12. So again, we're looking to multiply by the reciprocal. Same thing with number 13. The reciprocal of 4/3 is 3/4, and we can multiply by 3/4 here. 3's cancel, 4's cancel, and we are left with our value of y. I know that 4 goes into 16 4 times. 4 goes into 4 1 time. Now I can multiply across. 4 times 3 is 12. 1 times 1 is 1. And we get an answer of 12. So in summation, and you're going to go ahead and finish number 14 on your own. So there's 4 problems I want you to complete on your own. Always look to undo what's being done to the variable. Either adding opposites, or dividing by that number, or multiplying by a reciprocal. See you next time.